Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining the latest and most recent Boutique Hotel News webinar. Today we're going to be talking about boosting profitability with AI personalisation. This is actually the first webinar of a brand new series that's going to be running from now until December, so bringing you plenty of insights over the next few months. My name's Eloise Hanson. I'm the editor of Boutique Hotel News. If you're unfamiliar with the brand, let me give you a very quick introduction. We're an online trade publication. We cover the global boutique, lifestyle, luxury hotel and branded residence industry. We're delighted to be partnering with Duetto for our webinar series. Duetto is a revenue and profit operating system, and we will be playing you a short video today.
Let's face it, hospitality has changed. Booking patterns are erratic, events hijack demand, guests expect more, spend less, and book late. Labor's short, costs are up, and the world is...
Heathrow Airport will be closed.
well,
Coronavirus.
The AI experts hear us.
Flooding.
unpredictable. And revenue leaders are being asked to do more with less, across more teams, more systems, and more pressure, which leads to disconnected systems, manual workarounds, siloed insights. All because most hotels are still trying to solve new problems with old tools. It's not working. Modern hotels don't need another product. They need a smarter way to run revenue. One platform, smarter pricing, sharper forecasts, stronger performance. Real profit visibility, built to bring pricing, forecasting, group strategy, and profitability into one clear view and make it actionable from select service to luxury, whether you are one hotel or 1,000. It's how modern hotels run revenue, not just more bookings. This is everything your RMS should be. This is Duetto, the revenue and profit operating system. And we're just getting started.
And further details about Duetto have been popped into the chat if you would like to learn more. So a brief overview of how today's webinar is going to run. We will spend around 45 minutes talking with our panelists today, followed by some time to take any questions from our audience. So if you're tuning in and you have a very pressing query, do get in touch. You can submit your questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screens, and we will keep our beady eyes on that chat just to make sure that we aren't missing anyone. Today's webinar is being recorded. Everyone that has registered will receive a copy of that recording within 48 hours. And if you do have some time right at the end, please do take a very short 5-minute survey. We'd love to hear your feedback. We're looking to continuously improve our webinars, so it will be very much valued. So please do take the time. Now, to provide some context to why we're here and to help frame the discussion, here's a screenshot from Deloitte's 2025 Travel Industry Outlook. I should say that this report is based on a survey of US travelers. And one of the key takeaways was around how AI is being applied to travel. And this graph on your screens provides some examples of how AI is being used. So that's from booking accommodation or activities to choosing destinations or planning itineraries. Now, the majority of respondents are using generative AI to discover in-destination activities and attractions. So that was about 65% of the respondents. But only 26% of that 65% were following through with a booking. And it was actually that booking accommodation that was discovered by generative AI showed the highest conversion rate. So of the 45% of respondents that were using Gen AI for this purpose, 43% actually went ahead and booked. A short quote from the survey reads, most have yet to create tactics that take full advantage of the technology to create exciting new approaches to shopping, booking, or inspiration. They often lack image integration, personalization, and seamless connection to real-time bookable product, but the race is on. So we can see that AI is influencing decisions, but there is still a gap between that discovery and the actual transaction. Now, on the next slide, I want to play another video. And this video demonstrates the potential of using AI to personalize a trip. Now, some of you may have already heard about the Las Vegas hotel, which claims to be one of the first AI-powered hotels in the world. And if you haven't, here's a short introduction.
Autonomous is a new hotel just a few minutes away from the Las Vegas Strip, and its founders claim it's the first true AI-powered hotel in the world. In reality, many hotels are now integrating AI into their operations, but the team behind Autonomous say their hotel has it baked into every aspect of a guest's stay, from the ground up.
For us, AI is not for the sake of AI. It's really using technology to bring back something timeless, which is human connection, right? Ironically, using advanced systems to provide the simplest, most beautiful feeling, which is feeling that somebody truly understands you, right? And that's the power of AI for us.
Once your reservation is made, the hotel will begin gathering as much information about you as it can. It will ask a series of questions about your preferences, and will also scrape the internet and social media sites for information on you, using that data to personalize your stay and build a digital avatar. As with many modern hotels, guests will be able to check in and access their rooms without any human interaction.
So full credit to the BBC for shooting that very short video. And if this is what the future looks like, then let's hear from our panel about how they are using AI. So I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves. For ease, I'll move from left to right as per the PowerPoint slides. So Dave, let's kick off with you. Welcome and a short intro, please.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you for having me. My name is Dave. I'm the Director of Revenue Management for Inntel Hotels. We are a privately owned independent hotel group with 5 hotels throughout the Netherlands.
Super. Thank you, Dave. And Istvan, over to you. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Istvan, and I'm the Senior Product Manager here at Duetto. I look after a couple of products, Advance and Dre, some personalized pricing offers that we do through those products as well.
Thank you. And Hicham, over to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. My name is Hicham. I am the Senior Director of Hospitality Operations with Seneca Gaming. We are a hospitality and gaming company in the state of Seattle, Washington. We own 3 casinos and hospitality resorts. I also serve as the adjunct professor at the same time at the University of Washington, as well as the University of Southern California. I work in the gaming industry as well as non-gaming, and I work very closely with Duetto as well, and with our different partners. Thank you for having me, and looking forward to our discussions.
Thank you. And last but by no means least, Chris, over to you.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Chris, the Head of Digital and Consumer Marketing at BWH Hotels GB. BWH Hotels, we're a global brand, and we are the perfect partner for any hotel from economy through to luxury who need the expertise and support of a brand, whilst being able to maintain their independence.
Great, thank you. And all the LinkedIn profiles of our speakers are in the chat. Do connect. We've got lots to get through today. May not get through it all, but we'll definitely do our best. Chris, let's stay with you for a moment here. I showed from the context slides how AI is being used by travelers. In this instance, it was US consumers around the sort of ideation, how to plan, where to travel. From your perspective, how is AI changing the way that hotels target their guests compared to the traditional methods?
Yeah, I think it's still, even AI has been the buzz for the past few years, hasn't it? I think it was still fairly early into this journey. I think it was interesting to look at your results because we actually did a survey of our database in BWH GB, And we actually saw that 84% of our guests reported they'd never used an AI tool, and 43% said they never would. And that's actually coming into our strategy. We're taking quite conscious steps to make sure that we are integrating AI into a way that's right for our customers. But that being said, I would assume a lot of our guests and stayers won't have realized that AI has actually been part of that journey regardless. So just because people are saying they won't use it doesn't mean they won't be using it. So I think the main thing for me with AI is that it essentially allows us to do what we've always wanted to do, but in a more efficient way. Just for example, being able to segment and target. We all know those segments we want to create and who we want to target. So, like for example, our loyal guests, those people who have stayed once and we want to encourage them back. The people who are traveling as a family or staying with their pet. We know those segments we want to create. AI essentially makes it easier for us to do at scale, which is really important because we are, as a brand, we have thousands of guests every year. We need to be able to do this in a scalable way. So AI essentially makes it much easier to be able to do our jobs efficiently. We can let the AI and the thinking do the hard part, while we can focus on the nice things, actually, educate our guests and drive the bookings. So for me, it's a huge efficiency tool, and from a marketing perspective, and of course on premise for our hoteliers. So that's kind of the biggest opportunity I see. And then as well, it's not just about creating those segments, it's about using the channels you have available to you and the AI tools that they're integrating to be able to do this in the best way, such as, through your CRM, through your social advertising, wherever it may be.
And I think scale is so important for independents who may lack resources and the time to invest in massive tools and systems and platforms. So being able to scale at pace is
I completely agree. It's been a hard few years for hotels. Costs are getting more expensive. I think being able to lean into a tool or a system that can help them do the heavy lifting whilst they can still give that great experience to guests is a real win-win for everyone involved.
Istvan, let's bring you in here to build on Chris's response there. And I want to start looking at the sort of practical applications now. So how exactly is AI enabling these hotels to go beyond traditional segmentation methods, such as the demographics and the booking channels?
Eloise, for sure. I think that's a great question, exactly because it sort of gets to the heart of the shift that we are seeing with regards to traditional segmentation. It is very useful. However, it is a bit static, and it sort of puts the guests into broad predefined buckets like corporate or leisure. And I think AI allows us to move from these static buckets into more dynamic, behavioral-based micro segments that are potentially more valuable. As an example, the AI doesn't just see a leisure traveler. Through connecting the dots with third-party data sources, such as the innovations we are doing with Predict HQ for our Duetto Advanced product, you can really analyze pickup data against, for example, a major concert next month, and then you can identify the pickup patterns and the intent behind the stay, so that the revenue manager can move from reacting to just purely booking patterns to shaping a strategy more designed around a particular high demand event, for example. So it's really about understanding the why behind the booking, not just the who. And I think that's how you marry AI with the traditional segmentation. It's not about replacing traditional segments, but it's about enriching them with the real-time context that you could be hard found to spot manually.
I think that when we talk about AI in its broadest sense, AI has very much been part of certain operations for a very long time. Take revenue management as an example. The recent rise of AI has probably been more guest facing when you start to look at your digital concierges or your trip planning tools. But in order to really marry that personalization, you need to make sure that your back end is built and you have the infrastructure in place in order to marry up with what's happening on the guest facing side. And I think there's a lot to learn from other sectors, and what's happening outside of perhaps hotels and hospitality. So Hicham, I'm going to bring you in here. You mentioned your background in sort of casinos, and I'm really curious to learn about what lessons we can apply from the casino and gaming sector to hotels around that data-driven personalization.
Thank you, Eloise. Well, one important lesson that hotels can learn from the casino or gaming industry is the use of data-driven loyalty programs to drive personalized guest experience and repeat business. I think that's the key. I believe Chris and Istvan both mentioned earlier that the segmentation component and how we segment consumers into different groups. In line with that, casinos use behavioral data to customize offers and experiences based on individual guest preference and spending habits. So it's no longer just about looking at the pattern of consumer, but also it's about the preferences that the guest has. Casinos excel at tracking players' behavior, as you know, such as the time spent playing on the gaming floor, for example, such as the game preferences and also the spending habits. And then based on this data, we use this data to segment consumers and deliver a very highly targeted rewards, such as free play for those of you that go to casinos, such as complimentary stays, free food, VIP perks, and what have you. But from my experience, since I worked in the gaming and non-gaming industry, one of the examples I can think of would be when hotel groups apply the same data-driven concepts to analyze guest data, such as the booking frequency, as Istvan mentioned, and also the preferred room types, smoking, non-smoking, high floor, low floor, far away from the elevator, and what have you, and also the spending habits in food and beverage, in the spa, in the golf, in retail, and in every outlet in the hotel. In addition, the data collected gives hotels insight into the guest preferences in terms of special requests, as I mentioned earlier, food allergies or dietary restrictions that we all know about. Based on this, the hotel may send a personalized offer to connect with the consumers, but also to build the emotional attachment with the brand. So the data serves the purpose of really customizing offers and customizing different kind of offers based on the personalized and based on past behavior that we are using, just looking at the data by itself. So data can give us a lot of insight from the gaming and non-gaming industries.
I think the difficulty is that you can get overwhelmed quite quickly with the masses of data that one might collect. And this is where I see AI coming in to do the sort of analysis, the in terms of speeding up efficiencies. Yeah, let's pause that thought for now, and we'll bring Dave into the conversation here. Hicham talked largely about loyalty there and establishing an emotional connection with gamers or guests. I'm curious to see how personalization in its broadest sense is helping to shift the balance between the direct bookings, the loyalty, and I suppose the beginning of that loyalty journey against reliance with OTAs.
Yeah. Well, I would say in general, personalization let us compete where OTAs really can't, and that's owning the context. Direct channels, hotels can use first-party data, as Hicham already said, preferences, history, intent signals, and that means that the guests actually can see quite directly what they prefer before they ever touch an OTA. For us at Inntel Hotels, personalization is still in an early stage, but we do see clear potential in shifting the demand from OTAs to our direct channels, mostly by using, indeed, as well as Hicham already echoed on, by using guest data from past stays or even from different guest data that we obviously as well collect. We can create meaningful offers when guest returns, while OTAs actually remain mostly important for visibility. Personalized offers and communication does help us strengthen the direct relationship, which I think, and in our opinion, is key for profitability.
Mm-hmm. Could you share an example, Dave, of a personalized offer, tactic, strategy that has been most effective, especially when it comes to capturing that loyal customer? Because at the end of the day, loyalty is what can help to boost your profitability if you've got your repeat customer. Do you have a case study or a practical example to share?
Well, as said, we are quite in the beginning of personalization. Although obviously we started small, as any hotel that starts with personalization or any tactic they want to use, and we think that the winners combine memory, timing, and tangible value. Sense of memory, recognized preferences. Timing is that you offer it on the right time, on the right intent, and value is actually that you can offer the benefit that feels earned. And it doesn't need to be a discount, it can be a value add thing as well. In our experience, simple but tailored touches already make a difference. For example, recognizing the guest's preferred room type, or let's say including a small surprise that is linked to their previous stay, that already built loyalty with the guests. I think looking forward, AI will help us automate those touches and more constantly actually, and as well more on a larger scale, so that we can actually expand that feeling to a broader variety of guests.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna fire a question over to Hicham actually, because Dave, you've just mentioned that timing is one of an important pillar when it comes to using personalization. And I've heard that one of the greatest challenges that hotels face is a lack of real-time data, because it's on that real-time opportunity where you can really capitalize on a discounted offer, an upsell, a cross-sell. Hicham, what's happening in the gaming sector when it comes to that real-time data? How are you able to action it? What do those results look like? And how do you see this rolling out in the hotel accommodation sector?
Yeah. So hotels in where we work right now, we have different gaming and non-gaming services. But in our hotels, we use a variety of AI-driven tools to improve the guest experience overall. One of them, or the most prominent, is the AI chatbot and virtual concierge, like you mentioned earlier, to provide 24/7 support via the mobile apps or in the in-room tablets. Every room has a kind of technology-driven tablets that we use. These tools can remember guest preferences. If you stay with us, we will remember exactly what kind of pillow type you like, the favorite wine, for example, or the room temperature, and kind of save that information for future use, which goes back to the habit, like my colleagues mentioned earlier, the consumer habits. As David mentioned earlier, also in terms of the recommending personalized experiences, the platform that we use also personalized dining or activity options based on past behavior from the consumer. And my favorite one is that the app also automates service requests, for example, late checkout or extra towels or valley services, what have you. And sometimes when we have some international, we are on the borders of Canada, so when we have international consumers, sometimes the platform also offers real-time language translation for international guests. But I want to combine all my experiences and think about from experience. When I worked with Marriott implemented, I believe about 7 years ago, implemented the Marriott Bonvoy app, which uses AI to analyze guest behavior, preferences, and past stays to deliver very targeted offers and personalized travel recommendations via the app. For instance, a frequent business traveler, like we work with corporate consumers, a frequent business traveler might receive promotions for upgraded Wi-Fi or lounge access, while a leisure consumer, if you're traveling with your family, you might receive offers about the spa, for example, and you may receive offers about the wineries and around the area. So it just depends how we segment consumers into different buckets, I would say, from corporate consumers to leisure to groups to what have you. And based on that, and based on past behavior, the apps or the platforms in general is able to recommend offers that really very fits your habits of consumption, but also fits your interest, your attitude, and your behavior as well. So those are the kind of examples that I can think of from the practical world that we use in my company, but as well they are very prevalent in the industry in general.
Thank you. Chris, do you have any examples of personalization tactics? Maybe what's worked, what hasn't? You know, if you're looking further ahead in terms of that progression as well, I'm very aware that we're all early on in this journey.
Mm-hmm.
We're all here to learn. So where do you see that journey leading to eventually as well? So an example of what's worked.
Yeah, definitely. Just going back to one of the points that Dave made, once you've got the people you want to target, you don't always have to give something away. That extra incentive or that additional perk to travel can be really powerful as well. You don't have to go straight to, giving away money off your price. Just for example, if you're targeting someone who does like to do that travel with their pet, for example, maybe just providing them the right information about the hotel they've looked at via email if you've managed to get them to log into your website and you know that they're interested in that hotel and what kind of guest they are, providing them that extra reassurance that this hotel can deliver the experience that you need or you desire. That can be really powerful as well before going straight to, okay, let's offer 5% off or that money incentive. Obviously, you can build journeys around those customers. So the first stage could be that let's give them the information and that little prompt to make the booking. But we can easily see if someone's opened an email, and not taken the action we wanted, we can then follow up with that incentive. That's where we've seen, some really strong results is creating those smaller audiences of high potential and then using, either a message or a small incentive to get them over the line. But obviously that means you've got to make sure you're collecting, data compliantly in the right kind of ways, encouraging people to log into your website or your app so you can tie the journeys together. That's really key, because AI and all the segmentation is only as powerful as the information you've got on the customer. So it all ties together. There's, we could just be firing discounts out into the ether and, they might be completely irrelevant and not targeted in any way. It's all about what you can collect as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what Dave mentioned, memory, timing, and tangible value, and I think that's what you're referring to there, Chris.
Yeah.
I just want to flag to our audience, if you do have any questions, please do get in touch. Submit these using the Q&A function. We should have some time at the end to take any questions for our panel. Istvan, we talked about use cases of AI and what's happening and where we could move to. And there's probably quite a few hoteliers tuning in. I know we've got a lot of independents curious to learn more. I want to learn about a strategy now. I want practical ways that hotels can actually start implementing AI-driven personalization. That could be pricing, upselling, cross-selling. What's your advice? Where do they start?
Yeah, I think the key is to start with a clear and high value use case. One of the most practical applications we see today is pricing based on total guest value and not just the room rate. This is something we've been doing for years with our casino clients specifically, as Hicham also mentioned. It's an industry that is very used to tracking guest activity and spend. And through a dynamic rate engine, or DRE, as known as in the industry, that's one of our API products that help facilitate that. It tracks the player's lifetime value, including their expected spend on gaming and food and beverage, for example. And to create a truly personalized rate, we might even offer a comp based on those spending conditions and tiers that the casino configures inside Duetto specifically. So it's a decision based on total profitability of the customer. And this same logic is, I think, is incredibly relevant for traditional hotels as well. I feel like the industry has talked about optimizing for total RevPAR for years, but it's been difficult to execute, right? It's a very complex web of applications and systems. I think AI is finally making this a bit more possible, and we can start asking more strategic questions like, should we offer a lower room rate to a guest we know has a high propensity to spend at the spa or the golf course, for example? I think the casino model is actually the blueprint, and AI is the engine to bring that level of personalization to the entire industry. So we've started through partnerships with our industry friends at Oki and the Hotels Network, for example. Now we have targeted capabilities because of the fact that they've integrated with our DRE product. So I think these are the first steps to sort of put these concepts into practice.
And do you think this is the investment from hoteliers? Is this all linked to cost? Because I'm going to hazard a guess that perhaps a hesitation to begin one's AI journey or investment into AI is, the cost is not for me, or not right now. It's not a priority. Is there quick wins that hoteliers can leverage now, today, as opposed to maybe overhauling their entire tech stack?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it is definitely the way to go, to start small and experiment in smaller increments. I find that the more we start to understand how these systems work, the more comfortable we become using them. It's as I mentioned, I think it's all about complementing your existing practices and strategies, and sort of just helping you become more efficient. And the cost aspect, especially right now, because we are sort of at the early stages of AI, I find they are fairly reasonable, and you can sort of get a lot out of just experimentation.
I would agree. And I think those that are, I have spoken to hoteliers, and especially amongst staff members, there is a certain element of fear around it. And I think that the fear actually stems from a lack of education, or not having fully tried to embrace it or experimented with it yet, that actually it is like a silent enabler, that it can help with certain efficiencies. You've just got to take that first step. Dave, let's come back to you for a moment. Coming back to your memory, timing, and tangible value. How can AI help to identify which promotions or offers or discounts that are going to be most likely to convert? And I ask this without trying to erode revenue or the integrity of pricing.
Yeah. Well, at Inntel Hotels, we currently rely on our revenue management system, Duetto, historical data, and the data we have from our guests to guide promotions. With AI, we do see an opportunity to move beyond broad discounts and instead predict more specific offers to that will resonate with different guest segments than only like one big whole. This would obviously allow us to target more value-driven promotions that increase conversion while protecting our ADR and our overall profitability. Looking forward, I think hotels can score profiles, guest information on price sensitivity and trip purpose, then test value at before price. As said already earlier, I think that can help as well, not only giving discounts. AI can actually run counterfactuals that would the guest have booked without offers or yes or no. Hotels can cap offers with guardrails, no discounts if predicted win rate is below a certain X percentage, or maybe if the displacement risk is too high on peak days.
Chris, let's bring you in here. And I'm aware that we've talked a lot about sort of strategies and approaches to using AI, but I want to start bringing in the profitability angle here. Again, we've talked a lot about revenue and driving some kind of incremental revenue, but profitability is more an operational beast. So I would like to hear your thoughts around if you have any real world examples of AI personalization boosting profitability. What do your metrics look like? Are we looking at total RevPAR? Has that shifted once again? Your thoughts, please.
So I'll lean into my area and what I focus on within the business and the brand. So, you know, for us with the marketing department, the digital marketing team, AI is obviously hugely growing in its sophistication within, you know, the social platforms such as Meta. They're putting huge emphasis and they're claiming bigger returns through their AI ad targeting rather than the traditional methods of segmentation. And the same with Google as well and PMax. So we're really starting to lean into those from a, you know, making sure we're being the most efficient with our spend and we're driving the most direct bookings through our channel. Obviously, versus the OTAs, it's a very busy marketplace. So we're really leaning into those. If we can feed in, kind of going back to the data piece, if we can feed in the right data, educate the platforms on, you know, who our guests are, what they're looking at on our website, we can be the most efficient with our spend. One of our key metrics is our ROAS, so our return on ad spend. Because obviously we all wish we had an unlimited budget, but everyone's got a cap and everyone needs to get the most for their bang for their buck. So we're really leaning into that more because, you know, we do a lot of our marketing in-house. We have limited resource, limited budget. So we need to reach in and let's make the most of these platforms. They're investing, you know, billions into making them more sophisticated and be able to drive those stronger results. That's an easy way to kind of dive into AI with kind of easy entry. As long as you're providing the right information and the right, you know, creatives, you know, you can really start to see some big gains there at a reasonable cost.
And Dave, I suppose from a revenue perspective, when it comes to sort of key metrics, how are you measuring success specifically around any AI strategy and specifically around any personalization that you're running?
Yeah, well, since we are at the beginning of our AI journey, I don't really have got a success case yet. Obviously, we have give it a lot of thoughts in the past. So to measure the impact, I think we will definitely tracking metrics such as conversion rates on personalized offers, incremental spend per guest, and the share of your direct and OTA bookings, the difference in it. That will obviously be expanded while we are as well growing in our AI journey as well.
Let's check back in 6 months. I'd love to hear how you get on.
Let's do that. Good idea.
And Eloise, if you allow me to add just a few points to David's comment, as Dave, Istvan, and Chris mentioned, it's no longer just about that kind of individual KPI of ADR or RevPAR or even the RevPAS, which is the revenue per available seat hour. Now, the industry is looking at the incremental spend of the entire stay or the entire journey, or what we call total revenue per available room, RevPAR. Which look at the value per consumer, not just on that room side, but throughout the entire journey, looking at all services that the guests can take advantage of. And that's becoming possible because of AI, because a long time ago, I'm not aging myself, but long time ago, we put a lot of emphasis, like Istvan mentioned, on the room rate only. And because we know the highest profit margin in the room side versus food and beverage. So we put a lot of emphasis on that room side and the room rate. Nowadays, we're looking at the total experience, and AI allows us to do that because we are able to customize offers based on your preference as a consumer. If I go stay in a hotel, I like golf and F&B, for example. So that's the kind of preferences I'm going to get. If someone else stay in a hotel, they're going to like probably spa and retail. So that kind of preferences they like. So looking at the AI in a kind of contribution toward that allows us to see that AI is really impacting and contributing to the experience of the consumer, but also helping hospitality professionals generate higher revenues and increase their TRevPAR per consumer per guest. So I just want to add that.
Hicham, can I stay with you for a moment? Because very aware that this conversation does revolve around data. We wouldn't be talking about this topic of profitability and AI personalization if it wasn't centered around data. But in order to truly personalize, you do need to capture a lot of data from your traveler or guest. And I do wonder if there is some reluctance amongst consumers or travelers to part with certain data. Hicham, how are you addressing concerns around privacy when you are applying AI or any kind of personalization strategy to your guests?
Yeah, so this is very important. This is very important, relevant, and timely topic. There are a few steps that we take as a company or as an industry in general to remain compliant and also to put the guests at ease when it comes to data. Practically, guest concerns about data privacy in AI personalization can be addressed by combining transparency, control, and security. What I mean by that, we clearly explain to the consumer what data is being collected for and why. And we also show the guest how this data can improve or enhance their experience in general. For instance, by providing personalized recommendations and speeding up service. So just by being clear and honest with the consumer and showing what that data is being used for, I think that's a good start. Also important, very important, especially in the gaming industry, we provide guests the option to opt in, and allowing them to update or delete their data gives them some sense of control as well. And we see that in the food and beverage industry. When you go, you see that consumers have the options to just opt out if they want, if they don't want to receive any kind of emails or texts from us. At the same time, which is also important, we invest in very strong cybersecurity measures and train our staff to handle guest inquiries about privacy and ensure that data is both protected but also managed in a very responsible way. We've just wrapped up a company-wide cybersecurity training for all our 4,000 employees, and that also shows the commitment of the industry not only to protect consumer data but also to build that trust with the consumers and create that personalized service. So there are a lot of steps that the industry has been taking for the last few years to kind of build that trust, but also to protect the data and to show the consumer that we are really committed about protecting data while providing a personalized service.
Thanks, Hicham. I think you make a really good point on the cybersecurity front, that naturally the two go hand in hand, especially if you are deploying an AI strategy. Inevitably, there is going to be an increase around training, awareness, education. With that in mind, I'd like to come to Istvan next and ask a question about any operational challenges or perhaps hurdles or additional considerations that hoteliers must consider when introducing AI, and how can they go about just managing that process as effectively as possible?
Yeah, I think there are two big hurdles that we see here. The first is data quality. As Chris mentioned, the AI is only as smart as the data it learns from. So the saying that goes garbage in, garbage out is very true, very relevant. And then the second hurdle that we see is perhaps even more significant is around change management and team adoption. So with regards to data quality, before you can even think about AI, you need a flawless data foundations, critical integrations, and data quality checks, investing in validated sort of best-in-class technologies. It is the unsung hero, the unglamorous but critical like first step in the process. And then in terms of change management, we know that as revenue managers, we are all creatures of habits. The workflows that we see from our users are methodical for a reason. Everybody's sort of proud of their processes. You can just sort of drop a tool into that equation and disrupt everything. So I think the success comes from introducing AI as something that solves a larger problem, which is based on our research is the lack of efficiency um, and insight. So tools like Duetto Advance are designed to fit into that existing workflow by feeding prioritized days that need attention so that you can really focus on what matters and saving the revenue managers the manual work of being sort of the data archaeologists digging through a number of different data sets sort of on your own and become more of a strategic advisor, so helping you essentially look smarter, right?
I could use a bit of that.
So do all, we all.
Thank you, Span. We have a question from the audience, which I would like to fire over to Chris, if I may. As as a overarching company that supports independent hotels, and also with your role as sort of digital and marketing fits in here. Chris, do you think independent hotels or those with a weak brand or a limited budget will simply look to grow bookings by dumping more inventory on OTAs, who will likely be ahead on the AI guest booking enablement?
I certainly hope not. I think this is kind of the future of where we're going with AI. It's kind of going back to that first bit of data you said about is people are using these AI tools to search, and there's no doubt that the OTAs are investing heavily to be the leaders in that market, much like they've become the leaders in the search market, from the previous period of internet change. But I think it's still very much open, that it's still too early to say the OTAs are going to win and let's put all the money into that market. There's still a lot of unknowns around how these LLMs are going to monetize and how it's going to work. So I don't think we need to panic and run off to the OTAs yet to get the most of those sales, even though people through LLMs, ChatGPT, for etc., they are going to be more likely to convert. The overall portion of the pie that is taken up at the moment is still relatively small, so I don't think we need to panic yet. And obviously, we're keeping a very close eye on that. GEO, how we optimize for those placements, is hugely important, and we're putting a lot of effort into that. We need to make sure we can't fall behind. We want to try and lead where we can, and if anything, if we can provide the data in the right way, LLM should be smart enough to find the right source of information and hopefully the right price and the right incentives. So hopefully this may level the playing field somewhat. I hope.
And Dave, I'm aware you're early on in your sort of AI personalization journey. How are you communicating any personalized deals? What challenges are you sorry, what channels are you targeting? Examples here: email, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, any others?
Currently, mostly by email now. We do have got obviously the direct channel with the guests by email mostly, or by phone, but mostly email. We are looking into systems that can help us communicate on other channels as well for the future already. But email for now is actually the channel that we are using right now.
Thanks, Dave. Hicham, coming to you next. Sticking almost with the privacy theme here. Given how granular the data can be, do you see a time where AI can predict a full guest revenue contribution pre-stay so that AI can then itself target personalized pre-stay marketing?
Yeah, I think that is the goal, is to predict not only consumer behavior, but also consumer contribution to the revenue, as we mentioned earlier. As I said earlier, the goal of the innovation of AI is to kind of get to the point where we as industry leaders kind of forecast and predict what the consumer's value going to be to the company, not only from the room side, but also from different component of the business, including the casino side. So I'm looking at the AI innovation as a new platform in the future to not only optimize that revenue side, but also to focus on that cost component, the cost of labor, the cost of supplies, and different expenses that we deal with in the industry. So I do see that. I think Istvan mentioned that earlier. The dynamic pricing component and demand forecasting kind of work hand in hand to create that predictability of revenues in the future. And I do believe that's the next step of AI in terms of helping the industry kind of see that revenue generation component. Another element where I see that I would say that revenue generation coming is helping the industry with scheduling. We all know that the industry is struggling with staffing right now all around the world. And I see that the help that AI can provide is that AI-powered labor scheduling that is usually aligned with our forecast and aligned with revenue generation. So all these components together will contribute to that revenue side to help the industry get to a certain level of profitability, not only focus on the room side, as I mentioned, but all the experience from the guest, when the guest books until the guest leaves the property. So that's where I see the AI's goals, and I would say it's something that the industry is working on, and I don't see that far from happening very soon. So
I'm going to ask the other speakers their thoughts on upcoming AI innovations and where they think AI will have the biggest impact on profitability. But just staying with you, Hicham, for just a moment, where you wear many hats, and one of your roles is obviously teaching the next generation of hospitality professionals and young hoteliers. What excites them? What do they see as the next frontier here? And are there fears? Are there any concerns sitting amongst that as well?
yeah, this is a topic we talk about in the classroom. Kind of, I would say, all the time. So in my view, hospitality students that we teach are often most excited about how AI can transform guest experience and career opportunities in the industry for the future generations. We look at many of the students see AI-driven personalization, such as customized recommendations or seamless check-in process, as a way to improve that guest experience and the quality of stay in general. But also, which is very important, to free up the staff from a routine task. And we know the industry is very labor intensive and has a lot of routine tasks that the employees have to perform. the AI is able to free up kind of students and employees from those tasks to focus on that guest experience and focus on the frontline task that they have to deal with. Students are also very, very enthusiastic about AI's potential for data-driven decision making. And that's really important because when we teach students, we teach them how to critically think about making decisions in the future, which can improve in general, not only operations, but also revenue management, marketing, and operations in general. And finally, in my view, and based on my experience dealing with students, they are very also interested or excited about the integration of AI as a way to innovate the traditional hospitality roles. We know the industry is evolving, and it has been evolving for the last few years. And AI is able to position the industry at the intersection of technology. I always like to say technology and the human interactions. We have to find our right spot, that sweet spot between human interactions and technology transactions. And I always like to tell my students, and I'm going to close with this, AI will not take your job, but someone who uses AI will. So we have to learn how to manage that AI component and embrace it to be able to help the industry move forward and get to a place where we are all excited about the industry as a whole. So.
Like it a lot. I think I'll use that phrase as well in the future. Dave, I'd like to come to you next. Where do you see the greatest impact AI could have on profitability?
For a group like Inntel Hotels, like us, I think the biggest impact would definitely be in the dynamic personalization area, but also in smarter upselling, cross-selling tactics. But as well, a little bit further, think about predictive maintenance so that we can prevent costly equipment failures. Think about predictive guest experience management to make sure that we actually are on top of what the guest expects from us. I think all these innovations support both profitability and guest satisfaction, which makes it, more promising as well.
Thank you. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I completely think that, with on-site, being able to use AI to do all the operational stuff so that the staff can focus on giving the guest experience that people expect. I think that's going to be, the huge thing that's going to have the biggest impact. But I do think that we're going to have an interesting few years with how trip planning and AI all comes together. I think that's going to be absolutely huge. And whoever can, nail that space first is going to be in a big situation, a big advantage. And if it can be someone else apart from the OTAs, that'll obviously bring commissions down, which will be more profitable to hotels.
And Istvan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's exciting to sort of see where the next evolution of AI leads us. Right now, we're in sort of this generative AI phase where we get a lot of insights from the models. I think the next step is really that agentic AI, which is more of the taking action, the doer side of things. So, for example, just by identifying an unusual pattern for pickups, the agentic AI version could then also recommend or take action with a specific restriction that should be implemented. I think that's really sort of the future where this goes. And again, to everyone's points, the automation piece and taking away that labor-intensive manual tasks so that folks can focus more on strategic decisions is where we are going.
Thanks, Istvan. Hicham, final word to you. I can see we have another question coming in from the audience. But please.
I think one thing that I'm really excited about in terms of AI is the predictive analytics component. So in addition to automation and personalization that all my colleagues talked about, I think there's that predictive element that allows us to not only increase our revenues and yield our revenues, but also focus on the operational efficiency, like Istvan mentioned. we, along with the revenue managers, are leveraging AI to really create some consistency in terms of forecasting demand and with greater accuracy. I know a long time ago we used to forecast manually. AI now is helping us create that accurate forecasting and create the accuracy in terms of revenues, but also expenses. And that predictive analytics, that I believe that's something that helped us in the past and will help the industry moving forward. And that's really something that I'm really kind of excited about in the future. The future of AI in hospitality is not just about, again, that experience, but also about streamlining the operations and looking at the cost in general and supporting that smart decision from hospitality professionals. And I'm really looking forward for that as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Hicham, Dave, Chris, and Istvan for your time and insights. We are going to leave this webinar open right at the end to allow our audience members to follow up on any of the links that we've popped into the chat, including the LinkedIn profiles of our speakers. We haven't had time to quite get through all the questions submitted by the audience today, so please do connect, carry on this conversation after we've closed today's webinar. Just to highlight what we have coming up next in our schedule here at Boutique Hotel News. Our next webinar, a week today, we talked a bit about this today actually, is about how do we actually utilize guest intelligence to drive that on property spend. The link to register will be popped into the chat. We'd absolutely love to see you. Same time, same place. And something that we're very excited about, for those of you in London, this one is for you. We are hosting an AI networking with a purpose evening. This is taking place on the 29th of September at the Karma Sanctum Hotel. The idea being that we're going to have 4 round tables which you can move around and speak to other hoteliers and providers around personalized experiences as number 1, marketing and content number 2, operations number 3, and insights and data analysis as number 4. We would of course love to see you there. Again, further details on that event have been popped into the chat. And if you're interested in working with us either across our digital webinars such as this or even our in-person events, do get in touch with my colleague Katie. Her details are up on your screens and also have been popped into the chat there. And all I need to say now is thank you once again to our fabulous speakers. Thank you to Duetto for coming on board as our series sponsor. Really looking forward to this new schedule. Can't wait to see you all next week. So do all take care and I'll see you very soon. Bye now.
Yeah.
At IHM, we believe in the power of connection. We exist to inspire, to inform, and to unite decision makers who are shaping the future of hospitality and real estate. Our why is simple. We believe this industry thrives when people and ideas come together. And we're here to make that happen. So how do we do it? We challenge the status quo by creating platforms that go beyond the expected. We blend intelligent content, curated events, and a strong community into everything we do. Making it easy, accessible, and genuinely useful. From online engagement to face-to-face connection. We are known for being insightful, collaborative, and refreshingly human. We publish 4 leading multimedia brands, each a trusted voice in its sector, delivering breaking news, bold opinions, and fresh trends. We host world-class events, panel discussions, podcasts, award ceremonies, and webinars. Designed to spark ideas, drive conversation, and create impact. With over 62,000 monthly web visitors, 55,000 email subscribers, and 69,000 social media connections. Our reach is deep and our community is active. We're partnered with the biggest names in hospitality, and we'd love to connect with you. So whether you're looking to grow your visibility, meet the right people, or understand where the market's heading, read, watch, listen, and me. Do it all with IHM.